This is the Pinemen.
Alright everyone, welcome back to part 2.
Sorry about any interruptions. Okay, we have viewers.
Okay, hopefully it's smooth this time. We got a beautiful backdrop going on right now. We got the pile of clothes, and yeah, it's just the way it's got to be. So,
At least you'll be able to hear us.
I know my audio is going to be pretty, staticky and gainy here, because this mic is
At least you'll be able to.
not my favorite thing in the world, but hey, it is what it is. It's better than you being all
I
crackly.
think it. Yeah, I think good. I think you could, if you possibly could turn my voice down a tiny little bit.
Yeah? Okay. It's so...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good. I think you could, if you possibly could. Yeah.
Why must it do this? Okay, try talking now. How's that?
Hello.
Well, do you want to say more than
Yeah, it's true. It's just the delay for me to hear.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds okay. That's closer to equal. Good.
All right, hopefully.
All right. Anyway, so as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We were talking about religion and why people hate other people and why specifically people. Okay, this is what I was getting. My point was just before was there's the guy who believes in the Bible in the way that homosexuals go to hell.
Right.
Okay, fine. I think that I can stretch my conceptual logic to be like, okay, I get that. But why then is it your problem what they're doing?
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah, but like we said a little bit earlier, if you feel like you're acting in the service of God, then you feel like you're pretty much justified in whatever you do, right? So, I mean,
Yeah, but wouldn't you just be okay with like, yeah, those people go to hell?
I mean, you would think, right? But
Or I guess it's my job to save your soul type of thing. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I would assume that that's kind of the quote-unquote logic, if you want to call it that, that goes into it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I mean, but you know what? Honestly, I really do think that a lot of it comes from something a lot less meaningful. I think genuinely a lot of people who feel that way are just like, yeah, it just makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah,
that's it.
which is. But yeah, it's just interesting to me how much people want to get involved in other people's affairs, and then like they freak the hell out obviously when anyone gets involved in their affairs.
Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite thing. Yeah.
I know that kind of yeah.
Whenever we've talked about it
irritates the hell out
before.
of me.
Yeah, the idea of like, these, you know, religious conservative types who are like, I don't want the government involved in my life. I don't want them telling me what to do. But you better tell that woman that she's not allowed to have an abortion, and you better tell that homosexual couple that they're not legitimate in in our America.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
it's so stupid.
But yeah, what were we talking about before that? We were talking about like like mob mentality and like basically like validating negative feelings with other people. So like I feel like yeah, it's
It's wild. I mean,
yeah, straight up. But it's interesting that like yeah, yeah, the whole thing is like it's like I'm searching for the words to describe how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like you go back to like the Holy Roman Empire,
Okay.
right? And that was like a power and land grab for the church.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
You
you got to
know?
spread the word of God.
Yeah, exactly, by force.
Yeah.
And yeah, because you're doing God's work.
Right.
But then still, the soldiers who are fighting have a purpose.
Yeah.
They have meaning in their life. Now, even I would love to actually talk to military-minded people and kind of be like, do you feel like what you're doing is for the greater good, or are you just going along with it?
Modern military people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, you hear different accounts, and by hear I mean you read about them on Reddit, in my experience, and they sometimes, yeah. I mean, the things that gain traction and become stories, I guess you could say, are the ones where the person kind of does come to realize, like, holy shit, like, what are we doing here? I was reading something about today about how this helicopter pilot was in Vietnam. I know it's not exactly the most modern thing, but it's kind of, relevant.
Mhm.
And he was like flying over this like little village, and he saw like mass carnage, just like bodies and not and including obvious civilians like old people and grandmas and children and stuff like that. And he was like he like landed the helicopter like between the U.S. troops and the the civilians hiding behind like whatever it was they were hiding behind to try to avoid the
Mhm.
extermination that was being brought upon them. And I mean, and with the like conscious conscious decision to like his purpose was to like end that, stop it, like get in the way and like interfere and intervene, I guess you could say.
That was his like purpose. He just chose to do it by himself.
Right. Like like
Okay.
the purpose of his decision was to do
Yeah.
that. It wasn't just like, oh, I landed there and I noticed. What the hell? He like made
Yeah.
the choice to get in the way, and according to him, he even said like, if you don't stop, I've told my men to open fire on you. Like, and so, in that way, it is like, I don't know, but I mean, up until that moment, I don't know if the person was thinking to themselves like, we're here for a good cause, and we need to make sure that we liberate these people from the I don't know, from themselves, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, actually, have you ever
Yeah.
seen this thing? I think you would find it really interesting. It's this YouTube channel. I think this is the same YouTube channel that I'm thinking of, but I can easily find the video. But it's I think the channel is called David Hoffman. He's like this guy who's been like filming like, he's basically been filming and interviewing people and making like documentaries for like decades, like since probably the 60s or something, maybe at least the 70s or 80s. And he's like interviewing a Vietnam veteran, like seemingly years after the war ended, maybe. I don't know when it's from, but it's not like fresh out of it. Like the guy, it's there's been some time between the guy coming back to America after the war and this. And the way he describes his experience there, yeah, he went in thinking he was going to be met with like cheering citizens being like, thank you for coming, throwing roses at him and stuff like that, thank you for coming to save us. And that didn't happen. And he's like, what's up with these people? Like, come on. Like, you're not grateful? I mean, we're saving your life. I don't have to be here, you know what I mean? Like, and then as time went, he was like, I had to emotionally shut down, and I understood why they hated us, and I understood that they had every right to, and I just had to survive. That's it. I dissociated myself from my actions, and I just, so I wonder
Yeah.
how much that exists now,
Yeah, it has to. And I mean, like, Vietnam was a good point because Vietnam was a big kind of turning point, I feel like, where there were active military people who were like, nah, because there was the draft that was drafting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Vietnam. So it's like a lot of the people who ended up over there didn't want to be over there
Right.
in the first place. So that was like a nice, like, kind of like a time where the military was actively against what it was doing
Yeah.
as like, on an individual basis.
Right.
But it is interesting, like, because yeah, like if the if the government was like, if the government loses the control of the military, they have no real hard power anymore.
Yeah, basically.
You know, so it's like besides the nuclear bombs that they can shoot.
Yeah, but even that gets tricky
Yeah,
because you got to have people
but yeah,
willing to do it, and I don't think
I
one
know.
guy can press the button, right? It's like
Yeah, I think it's
there's like a set of things that need to happen. Apparently,
yeah,
I don't know.
but yeah, it's interesting to think about like the yeah like the I had something I wanted to say before. It was like oh like divinity.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Like having like a divine kind of purpose in life, or like feeling like you have like a divine purpose in life is like probably the most important thing that you can achieve
I
if
mean,
like you're able
yeah, if you can
if
really
you
embrace it, and believe it to be wholeheartedly true,
yeah it's like because like it's like this is the thing that I always kind of wrestle with in my mind is like whether or not our life is good depends solely on the stories that we're telling ourselves about our life.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you there are plenty of people who live with basically nothing who are having a fine time. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and obviously it's a trope, but it's absurdly wealthy people who are very not satisfied.
Totally. Yeah.
So it's like having like, or at least telling yourself that you have a divine purpose, or acting as if you have a divine purpose.
Uh-huh.
Is probably the best case scenario for a human being to have a good life. To like either like philosophical or like any creative or intellectual work, or even just like being good,
Yeah.
like in a real way.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes is enough to
Yeah.
like, because I mean people get like, and people are always making excuses for themselves. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure you are. It's like you get in these habits of making excuses for like your life. And you mean there's been times where like I'm literally like, this is fine, like I don't know, but like I'm actively miserable.
Yeah.
And it's just that's not good. And then you
Right.
then you hear the voice in your brain being like, oh no, but we're like doing this and this though, so it's fine that we're doing this.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, and you're trying to like, you can tell that your brain's trying to like give you more purpose.
Yeah.
I find that a lot. That happens to me a lot, especially like when I was just working all the time and just just doing that and just feeling like, man, this doesn't really feel like it's for anything, and like the job itself is unfulfilling, and it's just. But I write sometimes, and like I make music, so that's what the whole point is. But like, why not, take the leap?
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely relate, and yeah, it's honestly surprisingly, in some ways, pretty easy to slip into a place where, okay, actually, it's like. I said like it's easy to slip into this, but it's almost more like this is kind of the starting point. Yes, at least where we live, in America, and just, whatever, coming from, not poverty or whatever. It's
Yeah.
it's like, you're basically told, the point is you go to school, you get educated, then you can get the good job, and then you do the good job, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
You buy the house, you buy the cars, you start the family, you get married, you know what I mean, all that.
Yeah, and then once you do all the stuff, and you're like, okay, I did all the stuff now. When
Right.
do I get to feel good?
Right. And it seems like, maybe this is just me noticing this, but it doesn't seem like all those people that are doing that are like fulfilled all the time,
Does not seem like that at all.
Yeah, not quite. And yeah, I mean, it's just a weird. I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's such a difference between doing stuff and doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Right.
know,
No, totally.
and like, yeah, it sucks, and like, and once again, it's whether or not it's like conspiratorial, it is 100% purposeful.
Oh, for sure.
You
What
know,
the to get people into that
yeah,
cycle of thoughts where it's like,
yeah,
got to do this so that I can do this, and then I'll be able to do
yeah,
this, and then I can do this, and it's
yeah,
just. Did you ever stop to think like, what do you actually want to do? You know what I mean? Why are
yeah,
you doing these things? Because
yeah,
you feel like if you don't, you're a failure, and you feel like people are going to be disappointed in you and stuff. And you know, sadly for a lot of people, that's real. You know what I mean? Like if
yeah.
they
Which is, but see, but
fail
that's
at
the
that
thing. That's
stuff, yeah,
that's the community being like used against you.
yeah, yeah, right. Oh my God, yeah, good point. It's
Yeah,
like the bastardization of the community aspect of like humanity in
yeah,
the way where instead of using it as something to like grow from and to like like symbiotically uplift itself and yourself and those around you and things like that,
yep,
it's instead used as like a pressure force to be like, "Ugh, what are people going to say? What are people going to say if
yeah,
they find out? So let me
yeah,
just act like it's not that way. I'm not actually what goes on in here. I'm what I can think of real quick in the moment to make it seem like I got it all together. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, you go like, oh yeah, no, I've been studying a lot.
yeah. It's like meanwhile, it's like, well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I don't wanna. It's a little NSFW, but I've been doing
Oh.
stuff that that might not be as productive as I like to act like it is. You know,
Yeah.
I've been studying a
Yeah.
lot, but I've been taking a lot of breaks. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean,
Like,
it's just
but we don't.
yeah,
Let's not talk about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You know.
I've been looking at the computer a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I've been spending a lot of time on the computer. Just doing research.
Hmm.
Doing self-care. I've been doing a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
self-care, trying to.
Self love.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But
Meanwhile, yeah.
it is wild. It's this thing. It's like it goes back to what we were talking about last time too. It's like this like pressure cooker of like people feeling stressed and bad, and then like if somebody is like, "Oh, I just avoid that stuff that makes me feel stressed and bad," they're like, "What?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Right.
pathetic.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Exactly.
pathetic.
Yeah.
You need a career. You need to go back to school. You it's like, yeah, but like I'm just like kind of chilling right now, and I'm doing fine. I'm
Right.
taking care of myself, and feeding myself, and I have a place to live, so I'm not really worried.
Right. I mean, even just the most basic things. It's like how deep we all are into this whole like system that involves so many expectations and things like that. It's like think about the fact that like if you wake up when you naturally wake up and then you eat what you just whatever. I mean, eating unhealthy all the time does actually it does have an effect on you negatively,
Yeah,
but
big
like
time.
if you but if you just but okay, let's even just put it in a more okay, let me start over. You wake up when you naturally wake up, and then you eat things that are just sustaining your body, and then you, in a good way, and then you think and do things that are based off of like what you want to do, like not just in the moment to escape the pressures and the what you should be doing. So let me just instead watch Netflix because I can't think about this right now. I just got to do what I
Yeah,
got to. I can't do it. Instead, you just like do what you truly want to do if you are lucky enough to find that, or if you put in the time to actually, you're lucky enough to have the time to explore what that is. You know what I mean? You do these things, and I mean, it's like you said, people are like, so what? So you're not doing anything, is what I'm hearing. You know what I mean? Meanwhile,
yeah,
and that happens so often, and it's such a expected part of like life, I guess, unfortunately, that you, while nothing is happening to you, you're fine. Everything's all good. You're just doing the things that you feel are supposed to be done in that moment, and there's just this like cloud over you that's like, I really I should be really doing this. I know I'm like I'm living my life, but it just feels like, no, I should be doing this. I should be learning skills so that I can sell my labor to somebody else, so that I can like get employment, so that I can tell people that I do this, and then I can, I mean, there's more to it, because
Yes.
it's like, we
Yeah.
need money and we need things like that. But
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
but there's just, you know what I mean? Even without those direct needs, like, you see rich, children of billionaires who turn around and they're like, they start their little projects. It's like, I just want to be a social media influencer. I'm starting a multimedia company. Yeah, we're going to change things, man. It's going to be big. Or, I want to make a clothing company that, really is my self-expression. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
is that really it? You were born to make shirts, you know what I mean? And not that there's anything wrong with making shirts, but it's like, if all of your needs are met a billion times over, where you're never going to have to worry about anything for the rest of your life, it's like, that's what it is. Your purpose in life truly is to sell goods to people.
But the thing is too, though, there's a big difference in my mind, at least, between making shirts and having the resources to just have people make shirts
Well,
and then
okay,
collect the money from them.
that is an important distinction. Yeah, and
You know
let's
what I
be
mean?
honest,
Because
the person,
I think that more people should be making shirts.
right? We
But I
talked
don't
about
think
this yesterday.
I don't think we need more people making shirts.
Exactly. If you if you want to hone your craft of weaving fabric and decorating cloth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a different
Yeah.
story. That's
It's very different
great,
than
you know?
making like taking your like family money and starting a business that just creates a whole bunch more stuff.
Right. There's a big difference between what I just described and saying, "Ooh, we can get a good deal on, we can crank these out. I got a nice factory in Indonesia that's going to be able to
Yeah.
do this cheap. We can make nice margins." You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
we can ship it over here nice and cheap. We got a distribution center over in whatever state, and like that's
Yeah.
your passion. Are you serious? You're obviously just doing that so that people can say, so that you can say, "Oh, I'm in fashion," or "I'm in,"
Yeah.
or "Oh, what's your son doing?" "Oh, he's
Exactly.
he's got a
That's what
company
it's
going.
about.
He started. He's a CEO." You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what it's about.
Because
Come on.
because the fact is, like, he can probably that guy who makes a clothing company could just probably do nothing forever and it would be fine.
Right. And I'm not even saying like, and that's the thing. I mean, even people that can just sit there and do nothing, oftentimes
That's most
tend
of the people
tend not
that
to.
are the problem. I feel like.
What do you mean?
I feel like that's where most of the problem comes from. People who can like. People who just like the like families of successful people just continuing to use like the status and wealth of their family to just make more and more stuff endlessly.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
And, like,
yeah. That's
you
how it
know,
is now.
and-
Right. Like, how many industries in this country and in probably the world are like, what? Look at Donald Trump. Okay, I'm a New York real estate guy. I
Yeah.
make money. That's what I do. Okay, your dad did that. Your grandpa did that. You know what I mean? It's like, or in
Yeah.
some sense, they were all like business guys who have to make the big money and be the big man. You know what I mean? That's what. So little Donnie's got to be the big man. Otherwise, he's not the big man. And then who is
Yeah.
he? You know what I mean? Who
Yeah,
is he if not
exactly.
the big man?
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
people want to be that, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what if you like? I mean, like, we look at. I mean, oh my God, it's actually weird, but I mean, it sounds so stupid, but because everyone knows this, but like, look at Adolf. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wanted to paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then he ended up doing some other stuff that wasn't good.
No, he fancied himself a philosopher, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Jesus. I mean, that's like, I don't even know where there's got to be more to that. But like, I'm not saying it's literally like, people joke around about like, he did it all because he didn't get into art school or whatever. You know, it's not. It's
No, that's
obviously
not even, that's
that.
not close to being
No,
true.
not
He
obviously.
was resentful. He was resentful after World War One. That's
Right.
that's all it was.
But even still, I mean, I don't know. There's just
And
that's
he was
just one
on.
little
He was
example.
literally. I mean, he was literally a drug addict as well. So it's
Yeah,
just,
right.
I mean, he wasn't thinking very clearly about what.
Yeah,
he was
but where
doing.
does that even come from? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think.
His dad probably was abusive.
Right, exactly. Something like that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised in any way. You know, like.
Yeah, or his mom. Probably more so his mom. He seems like. It seems like he had issues with women.
Love me, mommy. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard about that his weird sex stuff?
Oh well, yeah. I know he was like riddled with STDs and stuff like that, and he was. Yeah.
Oh, but like he had like this like one like mistress that he would have her do like really weird stuff. I don't remember in the
Oh.
details of it exactly,
Yeah. I don't,
but it was. I watched like a documentary on it, and I was like,
Yeah.
did that make sense? I get it.
And things like that are so obvious now, like especially as you get older. Like, it's one thing when you're a teenager and you're in your early 20s or whatever, but where it just feels like, you know, because I mean, a lot of this stuff is not obvious right away. I think a lot of us do feel a sense of like, what's going on here? Hold on. What is this? Like, what are we really doing? Like, maybe even that is a little much. Like, what are we really doing? Like, I think a lot of people don't really question it that much, but there's like there has to be a sense of something. Because I remember what it was
Yeah.
like to be like, what is going, like, the way it would come out, you know, the way it would be said in my mind, I guess, was like, who agreed to all of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's kind of how you always say, like, what is this for?
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
sort of the same type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, what are we doing? Why?
Yeah.
You know, and it's insane. I mean, I know it's like it's weird because when I was younger, if someone would have told me like, oh, the reason why some men feel that they wanna be womanizers and you know, get, you know, brag about it and, you know, do all this stuff, is like straight up just feeling inadequate, feeling like they need to fill a void for something. And I know people say it, but it's like once you realize what it really means, it's like it's so much more than that. It really is
Yeah.
just that simple. Like it's not just, you know what I mean? You know, maybe certain people are outliers or whatever. Maybe there's, you know, some kind of addiction type thing into where it's not about that. It's just about like the dopamine hit or whatever, you know, something like that. But
Maybe, but that comes from somewhere.
right, for the most part, I do think it's like that, and that's the same because you said like with the drug addiction thing. It's like, where does that, you know what I mean? It's like it's not like it's not natural. You know what I mean? Like someone
Yeah.
who is completely content with their life is most likely not going to get drawn in by these types of things. You know what I mean? In fact, there's some people who even are just, I don't know. It's complicated, but like, you get what I'm saying? It's
course.
like
Yeah.
so much of that, like the need to, like I said, be the guy who's getting all the girls and
Yeah.
you know, because
It's
yeah,
it's like all of these things are symptoms of a problem. They're not the problem itself.
right,
You know,
right.
and then they get treated like they're the problem itself, but and then you don't give people like a way to understand it. You
Yeah.
just tell them that they're bad, and then once they're told that they're bad enough times, then they are bad now. And
Right.
They are either they are just riddled with guilt, or they double down on their behavior.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's
totally.
like, yeah. So like, especially with like womanizing type men, you know, they're doing that for a large amount of reasons. Whether they feel inadequate, whether they've had bad relationship with their mom, bad relationship with all this stuff is all part of that. And it's not just like they've made an active choice, and even they do. They make an active choice every time to do it, sure, but it's not. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
they decided that they want to be a piece of shit. It's they feel like a piece of shit, so they act like a piece of shit.
Right. And
You know.
I couldn't agree more when you say like it's like sometimes they just double down on it and like really like, you know, and what like just and yeah, other times it just feels like it's like, what's wrong with me? Like what because I do this, like why can't I stop doing this? Like I don't want to be this piece of shit. Or sometimes it's like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. Like, that's just the way I am, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you
It's and it's part of what I was saying before too. It's like we're all kind of handed a different size void to fill
know?
from our childhood, kind of in
Yeah.
different ways, and like, or from society. It's like, I mean, the thing is too. It's like some people. It's like, blame the parents, but the parents exist in the same exact world that we do, and
Yep,
had parents that were
exactly.
probably just as bad, if not worse, in the way that they were, and all this stuff. And it's like, where do you start to go, like, let's blame them? And I feel like that's just don't.
You
That
pretty much
move away
can't.
from
That, you know,
yeah.
unless
'Cause
there's
it's all
some insane stuff going on. But, like,
yeah. Well, yeah.
if it's just like
But
the
even
same
still,
trauma that we all deal with, and I know it's different for everybody, but like,
Yeah.
in the same category kind of thing, it's like they were once going through what you went through, or worse, or different, or whatever, in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
and
you know?
yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like you have to, if you are clear enough to take a second and just really look at what's happening, and like address the people as people and not as like menaces to society.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like that's where you're going to actually get change to happen and get things to move somewhere. And obviously it's way more work than just being like, oh, those people are just bad people.
right, yeah,
Because I have a hard time believing that there are, like, that there just are bad people. Like, sometimes bad people are just born.
yeah.
I don't really
I don't think they're just
think
born.
that that's a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's a very another very complex problem that's like very much so tied into the like restraint and strictness and like arbitrary rules of the society that we live in,
yep,
and the pressure that we're under at all times to like produce and perform and be good and be better and but be tough, but you got to be strong, but you got to be nice, but you got to like, but not, you don't want to be too nice though, but you want to be the right amount of nice, but like, but sometimes it's just like this,
yeah.
and you're just like, I don't know.
And you
I
gotta
don't know.
you gotta be a strong man to provide for your whatever the way that
Mhm.
people describe it. It's like, you must be a strong man to provide for your woman, but you must also be nurturing and treat her like she's absolutely perfect. But if you're too soft, then you're just like pathetic, and you gotta actually assert dominance at the same time. And like, you know what I mean? It's
And
just
like these are all just fucking words, and nobody really understands them. You know what I
like
mean?
you said,
It's
it's
like,
just the stories we keep telling ourselves, and that's becomes
Yeah.
reality to us.
like, what does it mean to be strong?
Right. Like,
What does it mean to be nurturing? It's like we get it intellectually, but like no one's like teaching people how to really do it.
no. How can you teach them how to do that when you got to teach them how to wake up how to arrive promptly at 7 a.m. to a place they don't want to be and sit
Yeah.
silently and listen for 6-7 hours a day, and then be on regimented schedule, be punished for acting like a normal person of your age. Get that out of your head. Don't do what's normal. Be a robot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Exactly. And
but you should already
Uh.
know how to do all that other stuff, and if you don't, you're bad, and there's something wrong with you, and
exactly.
you should think about whether or not you deserve to be alive. You know what I mean? Pretty much is the
Yeah.
message at the end of the day.
And then you know what we do next? The most fucked up thing? We commodify that.
Oh yeah, jeez. Yeah, I love that.
Uh-huh.
It's like
God.
everything. Everything is
Yeah. Now you have to go to therapy. You
Yep.
got to pay for therapy, and then the therapists have to pay for school.
But don't tell
And,
anyone you do it, because then you don't want people to
Yeah.
talk. Well, what are people gonna say? I love that. What are
Straight up,
people gonna
yeah.
say?
I know. Who cares? Who
Right.
cares?
Other people telling you, what are people gonna say? It's like,
Yeah.
nothing that they could say is worse than the fact that you're standing in front of me telling me, I'm ashamed of you. Stop.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not
Yeah.
me like coming out with
Yeah.
like
But
my
it's
own
true.
personal
That's-
experiences. But I
that
mean, I'm
is
sure
how it
technically that has happened. I'm sure I can't think of specific examples, but that type
Yeah.
of thing, if not with those direct words, happens to like almost everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody is made to feel like you got to change that thing that's natural to you, because otherwise, I'm embarrassed to tell these people that I don't know that well, because I want to
Yeah,
tell them
and
that
what's-
you're this, and if you're not, then what does that say about me? So
Yeah, exactly.
stop.
And then, yeah, and it's worse too because even if you just hear that kind of stuff once, it's in your head that people think that way,
Yep.
and then you're always kind of thinking that about yourself a little bit,
Yeah.
or like you're running your actions through like a little program of other people,
Yeah, and it
and then you're
becomes
just like,
the
I guess I
way.
can't do anything because that's scary, and people might think that it's weird.
Exactly. And that becomes the way, like, it's literally biological. Like, it's the way that your brain creates connections that reinforce themselves based on repetition. And the more you
Yeah,
allow it to happen, the more it becomes a stronger pathway. And what do you do then? And
yeah,
God forbid you take the time to actually say, hold on, I'm going to take time to figure out these things for myself. You can't do that because then you're a lazy piece of shit, and you're even more of an embarrassment to everybody around you. And like,
yep.
and it applies to
Freaking
like almost
crazy.
everybody. Like you said, everybody experiences something like that, and it creates that pathway.
Yeah, we're basically like all in like an abusive relationship with society.
100%.
You know.
And like we tend to like kind of go back to this type of thing a lot, but it's like, what if everyone just said, let's take a deep breath. What the fuck are we doing? Let's just not do it that way. Let's do it a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, why hasn't that happened? I have no idea. And what I do know, I do
Because
know because
everything is structured in a way to prevent you from being able to really grow as a person in a true way. Personal growth is, I've been waking up at 5 a.m., doing a little stretching, drinking a kale smoothie, show up to work early to get my emails figured out.
yeah,
First to show up, last to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I go
Every
home,
day.
I work on my side hustle, and then, it's the Sigma grind set, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But,
Yeah.
no, that
And then
is what it is, though, like.
I know. And then you have money to buy stuff with.
Yeah, and then you just, like I think we talked about this last time. It's like, you get more money, and then you just buy more expensive stuff. So you end up with
Yep.
this in the same situation. It's just people told you that that's better than the other thing. It's like, what if you
Yeah.
just decide, does this stuff, I just want functional items, like, that help me fulfill what I want from life. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you don't need the stuff. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
don't. Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's just
I know.
wild.
It is. And that's the thing. It's like this like constant like reinforcing of you got to climb the hierarchical ladder, and you got to get to but there's nothing up there. There's nothing up there that's any different than down here.
Right.
It's just if you get really high up the ladder, you're playing a different game now.
Yeah, and you're competing with
That's
different
it.
people, but it still probably exists in a similar way.
It's the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're no longer worried about making money. You just are worried about making maximum money.
Right, exactly.
Because now you got to keep the investors happy.
Yeah, and you got to secure the power. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I was thinking, actually, that you just said that, it reminded me of a thought that I had just before. What if, like we were able to obtain a large amount of power in the form of currency, and then like just pay for, could you imagine this scenario? You just pay for like most people's rent, like as many as you can. You pay for their rent and their food, and you say, stop going to your job.
That
Stop
would be
paying taxes.
A beautiful thing.
We're starting a new society right here.
That would be a
You hire like a you get like a basically like a security like military branch to protect you from the United States government. And you're just like, what are you gonna do?
Well, that
We're
might
gonna-
be a
we're
little
gonna-
rough because, you would have
You
to
don't think that
secure
we-
like fertile soil and like water sources and like filtration systems, and like you can't be like, you have to
No,
like,
you buy them.
well, okay, so if you just had infinite money, I guess.
Think about someone with Elon Musk level wealth or Bezos wealth. Those two men could make a little nation easily.
Yeah, true.
With just the money they have. They have more liquid currency than the government does.
Well, I guess probably, but it's just
Well, I mean,
when you
we
think
owe more
about
money than we have.
yeah, right, okay, yes, exactly. But when you
Yeah.
think about the fact that like, they give 700, almost $800 billion a year to the military, it's like your 200 and something billion is shit compared to that. You know what I mean?
Well, where there's a will, there's a way.
Like,
Well, because I mean, think about it. Like, if you obtain enough power, right, and you get like maybe you. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of actually how it's going to be done because I think it can. Like, if you are able to make connections with other like leaders
yeah,
around the world and like just basically claim independence from America. You like take like whatever. You take like the whole like middle America
okay,
and you just say like this all of this land is going to be farmland now and we're starting our own civilization here. That's going to exist outside of any of these forms of government, and if you try to stop us, you're going to have to do it's going to be a world war.
yeah, but I mean, how are you gonna like acquire nuclear technology and stuff like that? Like,
Elon Musk is making rockets.
yeah, but what about like nuclear weapons? You know, like.
I mean, uranium's not that hard to find.
I guess. I mean, yeah, but
Yo, you know,
if you're in the
I was
middle of the
watching-
country, if you try to leave, they'll just shoot your plane down and stuff like that.
We're not going anywhere.
How are you gonna get the uranium?
Oh, well, you can walk. No, we'll get it shipped in through like Louisiana,
Who's gonna allow? Why would they allow you to?
Cuba.
Yeah. Okay. No. Oh my god.
We'll become friends with the communist nations. We'll get China's approval for now.
Okay.
Russia, we'll get Russia on our side. I think we'll be all right.
You know what's funny? In this pathetic world that we live in now, the real solution to that would
It would be
probably
fun.
would probably be more like that. It would be like, how would you make it so that they don't shoot down the plane? Not by like developing technology that would create stealth planes or something like that, or like create like an Iron Dome type, a mobile Iron Dome thing around the plane or something. No, it would have to be. It would probably just be like, make a deal with another powerful nation, and they'll say like,
Yeah.
if you attack them, we're gonna bomb you. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my thinking in the first place. It's like
Oh,
you need to have
God.
friends. Friends are
Yeah.
important.
But then what? Then I mean, literally. Oh, it's funny that we're saying this because like, literally, this is what Cuba did.
Yeah.
They said, basically, Cuba was basically a U.S. territory. I mean, like, it was like a U.S.
Yeah.
colony, basically. I mean, in a roundabout way. You know what I mean? It was
Mhm.
like, American companies own the farmland, and then they make the people who live there work it for like next to no pay, and use like the coastal areas for like casinos and stuff for like mafia people and like rich people and stuff like that, and just make them struggle. And even what was his name? Whatever, the dictator or the president before Castro was like just like basically a U.S. puppet type guy and whatever, and like they just literally did that. They just said, "Oh, we're gonna take over. Don't do anything, otherwise we'll like fight you." And then they had to do more, so they said, "Hey, USSR, you can put the bombs here if you want."
Yeah. Well, the thing
So
is,
that's
it's like
kind
yeah,
of
you
exactly
want
what they did do.
you would want something too, and because like obviously, I mean, you want to like occupy territory that the U.S. wouldn't want to destroy. You know what I mean? So like there would be like kind of like dissuaded from just straight up bombing the shit out of you because they don't want to. They don't want that stuff to be destroyed generally. So they want to more like maybe make a deal with you than
Yeah, I
just blow you
guess
up.
so. I don't know. I don't see it happening.
No.
It's just all too wild.
Yeah.
Not that I would even want to do that. I mean, it's just obviously, but
Well, I mean, thinking about change makes me think like, how could change actually happen?
I don't know. My honest opinion is like take your money. Everybody, take your money out of the bank. Okay, as much as you basically take the money out of the banks. Then, like, create a security apparatus as a fallback plan to protect property and life. Okay? And then refuse to work and refuse to pay debt and refuse to pay for anything. And then the government will have to either decide, do I want to deploy the military against civilians in open slaughter against people who are just simply staying home, or let the economy get destroyed and bankrupt the country, or meet their demands.
Yeah.
I don't know, which one do you think is the best?
That's not a bad idea, Matt. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, right. When people think about revolution, they think about Hank and Joey hopping in the back of the Ford F-150 with the "Let's Go Brandon" flag and a AR-15 with a custom scope, going out and taking on the goddamn liberals. That's what they picture. No, just do that. You know what I mean? It's like, and like I said, maintain a security apparatus to protect property and life as a contingency plan. You know what I mean? Like, come on. That's just natural. I mean, but I don't think it would even come to that, because what are they going to do? I mean, not to mention, it's that's one of the things. That's how every world revolution is won in a lot of ways. Maybe not every, but a lot of them are, where the military refuses to, turns on the existing government. They're not gonna just go slaughter people. You know what I mean? Who are not straight up fighting back. They're just I just don't want to participate in this anymore because it's too, exploitative.
How many people do you think would need to be involved for it to catch on in a big way?
10% of truckers in Canada are unvaccinated, and their dumbasses decided to block the roads and stuff. And they're trying to do some major shit to shut that down because it's destroying the economy in a lot of ways. 10% of just truckers.
Yeah. So it doesn't take that many people.
Yeah.
To make change.
Yeah. Takes more than we have seen, but
Yeah.
It's still not that many in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Oh.
And it doesn't even have to be violent or anything like that. That's what I'm saying. It could just be it's a strike. It's just literally a strike. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I fully support it.
Right?
A strike. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be yeah, it would be incredible to just see everybody be like, yeah, we don't want to play this kind of game anymore. It's not fun for most of us.
Right.
Make the game fun so that we want to play.
Right. And then you're right. And and the reason I say take all your money out of the bank is because this way they can't freeze your assets and stuff.
That's what they're talking about with the truckers.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That's so fucking terrifying and stupid.
It's insane.
If the government acts upon that, yeah, like you said yesterday, I think we weren't live or anything, but if you that's once you do that, there's the only way to make changes with violence. If the government's no, we'll just take away your stuff.
Right. Well, I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean really seriously, but
No, I know, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, hey, crazy stuff goes on.
Another complex problem.
By the way, I just want to in case anyone watches this or if anyone's still watching or whatever, I am fully self-aware that I'm sitting here in a messy-ass room, sitting back and forth in my gamer chair, being here's how you change society, okay? You just do this. I have all the answers. I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be something to consider? You know what I mean?
If anyone's delusional enough to think that we're not just kind of brainstorming and having fun talking about.
Right. No, it's less.
That's their problem.
It's less about feeling. It's less about people taking me as someone who's gonna seriously do something. It's more about just the cringe factor of listen, guys, here's what we got to do. I can't even
Yeah.
keep my room clean, but you know, it's kind
Yeah.
of a
Well,
anti-work moderator going on Fox News and saying
yeah.
that laziness is a virtue.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to give off that
Well,
type of vibe.
well, to be
Although I
fair,
probably am.
Adam Smith said the same thing.
What do you mean? Oh,
That
laziness is a
that
virtue.
well, basically, he believes that lazy, our humans' capacity for lazy, or like humans like lean towards being lazy, and that increases production, basically,
Oh,
because
I
they
get,
want to find
yeah,
easier ways to do stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
People are always naturally looking for the easiest way out.
In that way, I mean, yeah, that's true because I mean, that like goes in hand with like, if people just were fine with doing hard labor 24/7 and there was no such thing as laziness. Sure, yeah, people would just why would you invent tractors to plow fields when you could just do it by
Yeah,
hand? Why would you create
exactly.
cars when you can just run, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Could you imagine if just highways were just people just jogging
right. But yeah, they would
on my way to work?
well, that's the thing. They wouldn't have created highways if it wasn't for goddamn cars.
Well, fine. They're like tracks. They're like nice paths.
Yeah, they're in like some kind
Yeah.
of weird like mechanism where it's like a bicycle, but they like crank with their hands and legs at the same time, and they're just like, I need to get to work. I can't wait to get there because laziness doesn't exist.
Yeah. God damn.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's funny. I mean, and it's like you were saying before, or in the last thing. It's like, yeah, like what if we used like our laziness and we recognized it and we were like, hey, listen, none of us really. I fully believe that most even like like people become like like higher ups in companies because they don't want to do the work anymore. They want to just get the money.
well, of course, yeah.
So it's like if it's like recognize that and let's just make it easier for all of us. Let's just automate stuff as much as we can and like share things and just have a nice little utopian society where we could all be lazy.
That would be nice. I mean, yeah. And even with that being said, like when I say this stuff, I'm talking about like, oh, don't go to work and don't pay your debt. Like, I don't mean like, and then just refuse to work. I mean, no. Like, wait until the demands are met, which are not anything out of this world. It's just like, give the people who work at the companies ownership of the companies and allow them to have rights within their workplace and democracy and make it so that owners don't just dictate every single aspect of their life. Like, oh, you don't want to work? Oh, really? You don't like the new rules? Well, good luck paying for a place to live, paying for food, paying for medicine. You lose all that if
Yeah.
you just don't follow the orders all the time. But we live in a democracy. That's really great, right? That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's true. And that's the bare minimum.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in a perfect, like, I mean, we kind of went off on a totally different direction. But yeah, like, ideally, rethink the way that we use our technology and our like industries to work for people and to say, like, I mean, instead of saying, ooh, let's spend money on advertising so that we can put a bumblebee on the Cheerios box and make him be a really cute character so that people associate this product with children mourning before school, and we'll hopefully get the entire nation hooked on this so that it's like every parent wants to buy it and the kid is walking through the aisle going, I want that, I want this, I want this, oh.
Yeah.
And then like their whole life they just accept it as normal, and then they get it for their kids, and there we go, we got this whole thing going. That's just one example, but like everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were talking also McDonald's, get the ball pit in there, get the little playground in there, put the little mascots on there so that they get addicted to the most unhealthy food when they're really young, and then they want to have their birthday party there, and then they, grow up eating it, and then they, it's just a normal thing. This is
Yeah.
normal. And instead of
and that way of thinking is rewarded in our society.
right. And instead of doing that, just say, okay, money can only be used for benefiting society. That's it. Like, that just people talk about like, oh, well, if you pay the workers more, the price of a Big Mac is going to go up. Who fucking cares? Like, in a perfect world, McDonald's would just go out of business right tomorrow, and like then you wouldn't have to even worry about it. And yes, they employ a lot of people, but the idea is okay. So it wouldn't go out of business tomorrow. It would just stop being a necessary part of society. You know what I mean?
You know what would happen if a bunch of McDonald's closed? A
What?
bunch of other restaurants would open up.
Right, exactly. And and they could rethink the way that they design cities or whatever. And if all this wasted real estate goes away, and instead of saying, "Oh man, the housing market is really booming. I'm going to speculate and invest, and oh my God, I'm hoping to get a big return." What if you just said, "Oh, this is like this is meant for people to live in it so that they can like feel secure with their life and be able to have like take care of their families and stuff." You can't fuck around with that. Like, it's reserved
Yeah.
for that. You know what I mean? Like, what? How is that crazy? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy what we do now. It's not crazy to say housing should be used to house people, not to invest and grow and you, you know, you know, not let your money sit still and make sure that you have it diversified. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be that way? I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
mean, I get it
Because-
because
yeah,
it's
because
because
the
so that
point of
they
life-
want like 100 people to be able to get on the bigger boat and
yeah.
have
Yeah.
their own plane. Come on, they deserve
Yeah.
that though. I feel like we've had this
Yeah.
exact conversation.
I know that it's just ridiculous. It's really just ridiculous, and like the amount of like suffering and stress that not only they're under, worrying about all this stuff, that then they're putting on everybody else, and everybody else, it's just like, oh, now the rent's gone up, and now everyone who pays rent is stressed, and you're stressed because it didn't go up as much as you wanted it to because
Yeah.
you want to make more money. It's just like it's just stupid. It's not even a good game. This game is not good.
Right, it's
Not
horrific.
fun for pretty much anybody.
Literally right now, they are admitting, CEOs of different companies like, food stuff, whatever. Like, people who sell chicken or whatever, like groceries, grocery stores and the people who, whatever, supply those things and things like that. And, just various things like that are openly saying like, well, we have actually seen a really productive change in elasticity right now, so that's been beneficial. It's like, okay, you're literally just saying, and that's even more cryptic than the way some people are phrasing it, but that just means, in economics, it just means we have been able to get away with raising these prices so high, and no one is like doing anything about it. They're still buying it. So why would we not do it? You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
they're saying. And then they turn around and say, "Oh my God, inflation is skyrocketing because of a labor shortage." Oh my God. It's just like
I know.
they literally just admit, like, you can look it up, anyone can look it up. They are, I don't know what you would type in to look it up, but I don't know. Like, try to look into the idea that companies right now are increasing their prices to offset the theoretical
Yeah.
unrealized profits of that they didn't get during like the lockdowns and stuff like that. Even though many of these companies have hit record numbers during that time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And right now they're hitting record highs and stuff like that. They're just saying it because they have to report some of this stuff to like the SEC and stuff like that. It's like, it's just out there. You could just look it up. They just say it. They give interviews. They go on Fox Business and say, "Oh, of course we're going to raise the price." I mean, how can this government think that they're going to raise prices on just corporations? It's just going to get passed down to the consumer. It's like, and this is why you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And people
Yeah.
should let you know that you're not allowed to do that by refusing to participate in it. And,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Completely agree. Yeah, and
They
that's the
say
thing.
it
That's
like
the-
it's just a matter of fact. Like, duh, of course we're going to do this. It's like, oh, so you're just like an evil, you just know you're a piece of shit. I figured, but I mean, it's nice to hear it come from your mouth. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing where it's like they see everybody else as idiots,
Of course, yeah.
and they're like, these idiots they'll eat this shit up.
Yep. It's a
You know,
labor
and
shortage. No one wants to work anymore.
thank God.
Ugh, it's so pathetic.
It's just so, it's so convoluted and like I keep saying, what is the fucking point? So that some people can just keep getting richer and richer.
Yep, that is.
And to what end and why?
Well, you just answered the question. What do you mean? What else
Yeah.
could there be?
Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
You looking to wrap up soon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Soon
Yeah.
as in
I feel
like.
I feel like that was a pretty good stopping spot.
Yeah, at this
got
point,
one foot
I'm kind of. I started off very mellow, but I'm getting a little
heated.
passionate right now. So.
Yeah, no,
God,
I'm just feeling like basically we talk about this stuff to a point where I'm just like I fucking hate everything.
Right. I'm like exhausted
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
So
But
I
we
mean,
went for-
hopefully
we
I
went for-
didn't get too.
No.
You know,
No.
whatever. I pretty much say this stuff every time we do it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Yep.
We just got to keep saying it so people keep hearing it. Listen,
Yes. Hopefully.
you have a choice in this. You have a
Hopefully
choice in
someone's
this.
listening right now.
We are all actively choosing to participate.
Yeah.
If we just say the game's not fun, the game will change.
Yep. And that's something to let it stew a little bit
Yeah.
you
And
know?
join us next week for more conversation about how more overthinking.
Yeah.
More overthinking.
Right. Watch us drive ourselves into a frenzy next week on the Pinemen.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, but watch us play video games too.
Yeah, or check
More
out
fun.
Monday. Probably like 9:30, 10 p.m. I don't know. We'll try to make it more consistent. But yeah, Disco
Disco
Elysium.
Elysium.
It's day 2.
They know what's up.
You know, it's
Yeah.
pretty fun. You know. All right.
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyone who did watch, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, if anyone's still
Appreciate
hanging
ya.
out, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
okay. Until next time.
Thank you for coming.
This is the Pinemen.